I want you to understand that I don't owe you for the information that you're giving me. You owe me.
It's one way to look at it.
That's one way of looking at it.
Glass half full, if you will.
And he said, so I'd done him a favor, and he said, like, what can I do for you? Like, you have saved me from a very tight situation. And I said, well, I didn't do it because I like Yakuza. I did it because the cop that I trust told me that I should do it. And he said, well, I owe you. Like, what can I get you? What do you want? And he's like, pussy. And I'm like, no thanks. And he's kind of like, because he's running the red light district, right? And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. And he's like,
You sure?
and no, he's kind of looks at me, he's like, guys? And I'm like kind of thinking, I'm kind of like, am I giving off like, am I wearing a pink
I once
shirt?
fucked your boss's mistress, bitch.
Different Yakuza group. And I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, look, I don't want money. I don't want pussy. I said, if you really want to give me something, I would like information. And I'm like, because information helps me do my job. I like to get a scoop. It helps me rise as a newspaper reporter.
He's like, that's so boring. Fuck.
No. And he was totally like,
I'm kidding.
No, he was like, he's like, I understand. He said, like, I will never give you information about our organization or that would disadvantage our organization because you understand how that is. But if I had information about a rival Yakuza group or political corruption or something that would be of interest to you, of course I will share it with you gladly. And I come across that kind of information all the time.
To this day.
Well, I mean, he passed away a long time.
Oh, that's right.
He was the one that gave me the scoop about this savings and loan in Saitama being looted by another Yakuza group. I mean, that was the source. And he said to me something very interesting, which he said, you and I are in the same business. We are in the information business. You make your reputation and your money by finding out things that people don't want written and then publishing them. And I make my money by finding about things that people don't want written or don't want known and making sure you don't do your job for which I get paid. And I was like, wow, that's not really true.
But keep thinking that.
But I can see that we are both realize the power of information, yes. Especially in a society that is a shame society where people are embarrassed about the bad things that they do.
Yeah. So do you obviously, like, these sources you're getting, if that guy's a source on major stories like that, these are, you're still dealing with very high up criminals who may have, actually definitely have motives and stuff. Did that ever worry you about when you got fed a story? Like, okay, well, maybe they're giving me something that's true, but there's a false pretense for it, and we're missing the bigger picture.
My feeling always was about the question is the information true? It's not my business to know the motivation of these people. I do want to know because I don't want to be fed tainted information.
That's right.
But if the information is neither bad nor good, it's just information. Now, their motives for giving it to me are clearly self-serving. And that is why there's this very tricky negotiation you have whenever you deal with the Yakuza who gives you information, is you have to say this every time. It's like a mantra. Like, I want you to understand that I don't owe you for the information that you're giving me. You owe me because you wouldn't be giving me this information if there wasn't something in it for you. Either it offends either your sense of fairness is offended, or it's going to hurt your rival in the organization, or it's going to hurt the rival in another organization. I know you're not giving it out of the goodness of my heart. If you think that I owe you something for this, then I'm not writing it because I don't want to owe you anything. You owe me. Do we understand each other? And that always made things much easier.
Yeah, you're like, I could see how these guys like look at you because you're so matter of fact about things, and yet you're in these places you almost should feel out of place, but you're just so used to it. Like the way you come across, you're almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Not ambivalent, but like blissfully ignorant to to maybe the power structure that you're around, because you're like, listen here, I'm just here to report. That's what I'm doing. However you can help me, great. If not, no problem. Have a great day. And they're almost like, damn, the ball's on this guy.
It's my job is to tell people the things that other people don't want written, right? To serve the public, the right to know. Now, I have been fed stories that I have refused to write because when you think about it in a long shot, like Celebrity X is Celebrity X is a homosexual who is into younger boys, not like super young boys, but younger boys, and I'm like, that is interesting information. Take that to a gossip magazine. That's someone's personal privacy. I don't care.
It's not your lane.
I don't care if they're famous. If they want to sleep with a young boy because they're closeted homosexual, I don't care. It's fine. Maybe that will feed some bottom feeder reporter, but I don't want to be the one to write it. Thanks. Interesting. Trivia.
So you pick your spots.
I pick my spots. Not just because it could be a story doesn't mean you have to write it. And we all pick our stories.
Yeah. Now, how did this end up translating into a TV show? Because, by the way, like, the show isn't on air anymore, but it was extremely respected show. Like, the critics loved it, the audience loved it. It was probably like a little bit niche for an American audience, but very fascinating.
I think it's still on HBO Max.
Yeah, it's still on there, but I'm saying
there's not going to be a third season.
New seasons.
Well, it translated like this. The book came out, people were interested. It went through the usual Hollywood development hell. At one point, it was going to be a movie with me being played by Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, he was going to play it.
Yeah, Dan's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that.
He may seem like a nice guy, but he is a really nice guy. Yeah. He's exactly like he seems. And he studied Japanese. He was on board. The film looked like it was going good. And then one of the producers decided that we should have a Japanese partner. They told me who the Japanese partner was, and I said, do you understand that Tadamasa Goto, who is the villain of this piece, used to control the Japanese entertainment industry, like two of the most powerful agencies. And this firm that you're partnered with has a very strong relationship to another one of his front companies. And when they realize that you are going to make a film that is essentially about the people that used to rule them, who everyone fears, they are going to fuck you and leave you they're going to leave you at the altar and you will be fucked. And he was like, no, it'll be fine. These guys are really into it. They know they know what's going on. Like, it's an international Hollywood production. And I'm like, I strongly advise you find another partner. So almost literally the day they come to sign, for the financing to go through, they pull out. Whole thing falls apart.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And I got an apologetic call like, maybe I should have listened to you.
Yeah, you were right.
And I'm like, well, it's a little late now. So I forget about it. The person who had been working on the screenplays with me was J.T. Rogers. We went to high school together. So he grew up to be a very great playwright, doing a lot of historical dramas, like set in Afghanistan or...
what's his name? J.T. Roberts?
J.T. Rogers. J.T. Rogers.
Can we pull that up, Elias? But go ahead.
So, so I'm just kind of, this is never going to happen. Like, it was a great fantasy. It's, at least some books got sold. There he is.
This guy right
here? Yeah. Him in the hat is really nice. I think that I actually wrote an article. So in 2017, he won a Tony Award.
Yeah.
A Tony Award for this play called Oslo. So he won, I think I wrote it up in the Daily Beast when he won. So he wins, and Oslo is this black comedy about the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks in Norway. Oh, you can turn this into a Tony awarding, the Oslo Accords. Oh, someone who actually knows what I'm talking about when I mention that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to Oslo for an investigative journalism symposium next year. I've been invited, which is just wonderful. So I'll finally get to see Oslo.
Very cool.
Like, I've seen the play. Now I get to see
the place.
And so, I don't really understand the Hollywood dynamic very much because it's not my world. But apparently when you win like a Tony, you're sort of like royalty. Like, oh, you have a Tony Award-winning play. What would you like to do, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
And he's like, I would like to do Tokyo Vice as a TV series. And, by this time, because Ken Watanabe does a lot of stage acting. He sort of recruited Ken Watanabe, so Watanabe's on board. Then they're looking for an actor. Dylan O'Brien, I think, was one person they were considering. And then Ansel Elgort was like, I want to do this role. I will learn Japanese. I loved the book. I would really like to be in this TV series, especially if Ken Watanabe is in it. And, and I was asked for my opinion, which doesn't happen very often with this TV show. And I was like, if Ansel really wants to do it and he's enthusiastic, then I think enthusiasm matters more than anything, really, because learning Japanese is a fucking nightmare. So
yeah, it's a hard language.
It's a hard language. It's one of the most difficult languages in the world. So
and he learned it.
Yeah. So
wow.
So JT and Ansel actually went and did the pitches together, like the two of them, off to Hollywood with Ansel in tow. And I don't know if that's standard for a TV series for the lead actor or the potential lead actor. And then at some point, they're like, John Lesher, who's one of the producers, was like, should we reach out to Michael Mann? Because I know him. And I'm like, yeah, that would be amazing.
That's a legend.
I'm like, Miami Vice. And I'm like, I totally stole the title of my book, Tokyo Vice from Miami Vice. But I was like, I was thinking, well, what is familiar to people? Tokyo Vice, an American reporter on the police beat in Japan, right? Everything you need to know about the book is in the title. The Australian title, by the way, is Tokyo Vice, a Western reporter on the police beat in Japan, because the Australians hate Americans.
Oh, they do?
They do.
Really?
Yeah. You don't want to put American reporter on there.
There's so many Australians that listen to this show. I'm shocked about that.
Well, I don't think we're very well liked. My publisher was like, can I change it to Western reporter? And I'm like, be my guest. Like, I can understand.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Not liking us down under.
They pretend to.
Okay.
I mean, I if I could get away with being a Canadian, I would, but Anyway, so all the pieces come together. They pitch it to HBO before it was Max, and they were like, "We love it. Let's do a season." And their plan was definitely to do 2 seasons, and possibly a 3rd season. And
did they film it in Japan?
We filmed it almost all in Japan.
That's great.
Except in season 2, where we go back to my hometown of Columbia, Missouri, was filmed in Canada because, of course. I was like,
production costs.
I was like, please film in Columbia, Missouri, so I can get a free ride home. And I was like, no, absolutely not.
No, but they did 2 seasons of this, and
it concludes.
And did it follow your life to a T, or did they take Hollywood liberties?
Oh, they took Hollywood liberties, right. But what made it really great is that I saw every script. So where it took Hollywood liberties, at least we kept it very realistic, and we would have, discussions sometimes heated, sometimes not so heated, about not only just authenticity, but consistency, integrity of the character. There is a scene in season 2 where Ishida, who is modeled after a Yakuza boss I liked a lot, Kanazawa Nobuyuki.
You liked him a lot.
I did. I respected him. He used to be a professional baseball player, and he was a really honorable sports-like guy. Kanazawa, was as honorable as Yakuza get.
Fucking Shohei Ohtani over here.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Ohtani as Yakuza boss.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe a little more savvy about how the world works than Ohtani.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Anyway,
there was a scene.
So there was a scene where, there's these gunmen break into the club, and the writers had him ducking under a table and trying to escape. And I was like, this is a Yakuza boss. This is a guy who runs this fearsome organization. We've spent, a season and a half showing who he is and his values, and you have him run under a fucking table? That is not acceptable. That is not what the character he's based on would do, and that is a betrayal of the audience. I don't care if it's a more interesting decision. No, absolutely not. He takes a stand. He's a man. Don't let him turn into a wimp all of a sudden. People will hate you. It's like jumping the shark. Absolutely not. And and it was kind of like at one point I was your job is not to is historical accuracy and authenticity. And it's like, this isn't authentic. No Yakuza guy could rise to the top if he was a coward at the bottom. He has to be someone who takes the stand there. It doesn't work any other way. So it was rewritten.
Oh, so they went with it.
We went with it.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
So he takes a stand. He does not run. He does not shirk.
You defended your buddy.
He defends little Sato-kun.
There you go. Watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.